Picture this: Seth Rollins, one of WWE's most compelling and complex villains, stepping into a room where the Street Profits are cooling down after their match. The tension, the history, the unspoken weight of past encounters, all of it bubbling beneath the surface. What would actually happen if these personalities collided backstage? That's exactly what we're breaking down today on WWE Express, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell right now, because we're diving deep into the psychology of this interaction and what it could mean for the direction of Raw's biggest storylines. Let's go! The beauty of professional wrestling exists in these moments. Not just what happens in the ring where millions are watching, but what happens when the cameras supposedly aren't rolling. When wrestlers are out of character, or are they? That's the genius of wrestling storytelling. The ambiguity between persona and reality creates endless narrative possibilities. Seth Rollins' meeting with Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins would be inherently dramatic because of everything these competitors represent and everything they've built as characters. Seth Rollins operates in a space of perpetual reinvention. Whether he's a philosophical visionary, a cynical opportunist, or something caught somewhere in between, his character thrives on the idea that he sees angles everyone else misses. He's the guy who walks into a room believing he's the smartest person there, and sometimes he is. That's what makes him dangerous as a narrative device. When Seth enters a scene, there's automatic tension because we know he's calculating. He's not there to make friends. He's there because something serves his agenda. That mentality would carry into any backstage interaction, real or speculative, imagined or documented. The Street Profits, on the other hand, represent something completely different. They're grounded. They're charismatic in a way that feels authentic. Their chemistry as a team is built on genuine brotherhood, not some manufactured alliance. Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins have proven they can hang with anyone on the microphone, that they can cut compelling promos that go beyond surface-level trash talk. They're about celebration, about earning their place and respecting the business. That's their foundation. They're the antithesis of Seth's cynical calculation. They genuinely care about the legacy of wrestling and their own place within it. So when you put those elements together, you're looking at a collision between two fundamentally different philosophies. Seth's individualism versus the Street Profits' collective pride. His ruthlessness versus their honor. His need to be the smartest guy in the room versus their comfort with collaborative strength. That's not just good character work. That's the backbone of compelling wrestling storytelling. Now let's talk about what a backstage meeting would actually look like from a character perspective. Seth wouldn't approach this casually. Even in a backstage segment, he'd have intention. Maybe he's there to plant seeds of doubt in their minds. Maybe he's trying to isolate one from the other or recruit them to something bigger. Maybe he's there out of mutual respect, which would be even more interesting because it would suggest layers we haven't fully explored yet. A Seth Rollins who respects the Street Profits is a Seth Rollins who sees them as threats or as assets, and either way, his presence matters. The Profits, meanwhile, would handle this with dignity. They wouldn't be intimidated, but they'd be cautious. They've been in this business long enough to know that nothing Seth Rollins says is accidental. He doesn't waste words. He doesn't waste time. Every sentence is a calculated move on his part. So when they're in a room with him, they'd be listening carefully, reading between the lines, trying to figure out what he actually wants. That's the dance of wrestling psychology: what's being said versus what's being communicated. The beauty of exploring this scenario is that it forces us to think about where these characters actually stand in the hierarchy of Raw. Are the Street Profits positioned as legitimate threats to Seth's agenda, or are they potential allies? Is there a world where Seth recruits them into something darker, or would their integrity make that impossible? Does he respect them enough to level with them, or would he try to manipulate them? These questions matter because they shape how we understand the potential future of these characters. From a booking perspective, a meaningful backstage interaction between Seth and the Profits could open doors we haven't even considered yet. It could lead to unexpected alliances, to personal feuds with ideological foundations, to team dynamics that challenge everything we thought we knew about these guys. That's the power of character intersection in wrestling. One conversation can reframe entire narratives. What makes this scenario work is that all three of these competitors have proven they can carry compelling character work. Seth Rollins is arguably the most complex personality on Raw week after week. The Street Profits have shown they're more than just a charismatic team. They're thinking performers who understand how to build tension in promos and inside the ring. Put those elements together and you have the foundation for genuinely interesting storytelling. The wrestling business thrives on these connections, these moments where we see characters interact in ways we haven't seen before and imagine where those interactions could lead. That's what makes being a wrestling fan so rewarding. It's not just about the matches, though those matter tremendously. It's about the narrative possibilities, the character psychology, the unspoken histories that inform every interaction. So what would a genuine backstage meeting between Seth Rollins and the Street Profits actually accomplish? Maybe everything. Maybe nothing. Maybe it plants the seeds for something we won't fully understand until weeks later when we're looking back at how a particular storyline developed. That's the privilege of wrestling storytelling: the long game, the build-up, the patience required to tell stories that actually matter and actually resonate with audiences. This is exactly the kind of dynamic that deserves deeper exploration, and it's conversations like these that help us appreciate the complexity of professional wrestling as a narrative medium. If you've enjoyed breaking down this scenario with me, please don't forget to subscribe to WWE Express for more deep dives into character psychology, storyline analysis, and speculative fan theory that celebrates the artistry of professional wrestling. We've got more coming, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on WWE Express.